Hello, Hamish here from mortgagesonline.co.nz. What's ahead for the interest rates? Could they really go down next year? That's what I'm going to look at now, right? It's a little bit of a deep dive into some of the thoughts coming out of the Reserve Bank at their last OCR announcement. They do release the monetary policy statement from time to time, and they had released one. So let's have a deep look at that and see if there's any clues of what's ahead over there, right? So thing to note is that they do feel like inflationary pressure is reduced, and they feel like that the OCR is helping in that. Obviously, that does have an impact. If you ask anyone with a mortgage, they're probably spending a lot less. Now, so it looks like inflation is heading down, but it's kind of been a little bit flat lately and still hovering at that 6% mark. Now, remember, their target range is down here, right? So there's still a way to go in their thinking. But interestingly, they had mentioned that maybe they aren't going to be increasing the OCR. So recently, what's been the change in this announcement? The OCR still hasn't moved. Well, interestingly, they have another little thing that they do release from time to time, and that is around what they feel is the neutral rate. And the neutral rate is something where it's not increasing money supply as much, and it's not having and not decreasing money supply, the impact of it, right? So they have actually moved that a little bit. So in terms of their prediction of what the OCR might be going forward, they're still sticking with it remaining pretty much flat, right? But in May, they thought that the trajectory would be like this. And now they actually think that it might need to remain where it is now for a little bit longer than they had predicted previously. So this is where we're probably there's probably been a little bit of a change in sentiment. That's a slight change. Now, in terms of what is really causing inflation, where do they think? Well, obviously we're all spending money. So there's a lot of money chasing the same goods and services. And when you think about goods and services, the labor force has been a thing that has cropped up, and the RBNZ talks about it, which is like people, you can't find skilled people, is the story, right? Now, how will that ease? Our story in New Zealand has always been to turn on the migration tap. That's actually happening now. If we look at what's changed there, it does look like, if we look at the actual visitor visas, they have crept up. This is the 12-month rolling average, and definitely work visas, you would think, is heading up. If you talk to any immigration officer at the moment, or people in immigration, how you can get your work permit has really eased up a lot. So I think this is where the relief may come from in terms of our interest rates, how quickly this opens up even more, and how many people actually take on board want to come to New Zealand. It does add to inflation as well, right? Migration actually also adds to inflation. Now, but that depends on the type of people coming in. My own personal uneducated guess is that this time around, we may have more blue-collar type people coming in that might have less of an impact on inflation. So I actually feel like it will probably give us more relief, and then that there'll just be more workers around to be able to hopefully bring down the cost of goods and services more than they spend. So in terms of house prices, right? When we think about house prices, every time we have a big slowdown in the housing market, what follows is a big slowdown in building. And the Reserve Bank has also released something where they project that to be happening as well. And they feel like actually this time around compared to May, that maybe activity will be not crashing as quickly, right? Now, interestingly, I think things are a little bit different this time, because a lot of our rules in terms of what the Reserve Bank allow purchasers to buy, there is a lot of advantages to buying new build, right? Even the tax rules and the government's tax rules support new build. So it might be that there's a little bit more support for building this time around, this kind of downturn compared to other downturns. Look, There's a lot there in these stats, and it is kind of a worry about what's going to happen in the future, right? A lot of you have contacted me and are wondering, is it really going to drop next year? The key thing to remember is that nobody actually knows. Uncertainty is always there, so it is wise that if you're going to keep the home loan, if you're going to keep that home for a little while, it is wise to consider fixing some of it longer term. But again, it's best to talk to a financial advisor first, such as myself, if you don't have a good one.